All right, we're going to go ahead and graph example 2. Now, example 2 is on page 157. It's actually got 3 things for us to graph. We got y greater than or equal to -3, x less than 2, and y less than x plus 1. Fortunately, these are pretty easy ones to graph. So let's start by off on the at the left side. Let's just type what we're going to be graphing. We're going to be graphing y equals -3. Here we're going to be graphing x equals 2. And right here we're going to be graphing y equals x plus 1. Okay, let's start with the first one. We've got a graph y equals -3. Now this is going to be a solid line because of this thing right here. Let's go ahead and graph that. Right here at y equals -3, that's a vertical line. I'm sorry, a horizontal line. So running from left to right, and it's going to be solid because of the up here the greater than or equal to sign. The next thing we have to do is test it. We've got to test which way are we going to shade it. Look at the origin. If you look at the origin, that's where y equals 0. And if you put a 0 right there, we're going to ask the question, is 0 greater than or equal to -3? Since it is, we've got to shade everything above the line. Go ahead and do that. Okay, so I've shaded everything above that y equals -3 line. Now we're going to graph x equals 2. Think about that one really quickly. What that means is x equals 2 is going to be a straight up and down line where x equals 2. So that's going to look something like this. But you're going to want to dash this one because of the thing right here. So let's go ahead and dash this because it's a less than sign, not a less than or equal to sign. And then we're going to do the quick test. Go ahead and get that graphed. We're going to do the test. We're going to check at the origin where x equals 0, what's going on. We know that we're going to put a 0 right there. We're going to say, is that less than 2? And since it is, that means we've got a graph on the origin side. So go ahead and graph everything. You might want to shade lightly, but to the left of your new dashed line. So once you have that graphed, you might notice that we could have probably stopped after 2 equations and said, okay, all of this right here is going to be our solution. All that stuff right in there. But it's not. Because what we have to do is graph one more line. We're going to graph y equals x plus 1. So that line is going to look a little bit like this. We're going to have a y-intercept of 1 right there. We're going to, again, the slope is 1 over 1. So we're going to rise 1 and run 1. We're going to have a dot right here, a point right there. So we've got a 0, 1 and a 1, 2 as our points. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and connect that with a line. So you should have something, I believe, like this. Keep in mind now, as you do this, this is going to be a dashed line because of the less than sign. So go ahead and make sure this is dashed quickly. And let's do the origin test. The origin test is right down here. Right here, right there. And we're going to say, okay, we're going to put a 0 here. We're going to put a 0 there. And plus 1. We're going to ask ourselves, is 0 less than 1? Now that's true. So what we've got to do is shade on the origin side, which in this case is to the bottom right of the dashed line. Go ahead and do that. Okay, this is a little bit messy, but what you're going to see is there's a triangle that's formed here, and that triangle, everything in the middle of that is triple shaded. Okay, everything's triple shaded in here. So this is everything in here, any point in there is the solution.